Hello, everyone. So here is your next book talk. And in this book talk, I am going to be covering three chapters. The first one is Stockings, the next one is Church, and the final one is The Man I Killed. So we're starting on page 111 with Stockings. The Stockings is a chapter. It's told in third person because it's told about Henry Dobbins from somebody else's perspective. And this whole first paragraph here just really gives us a lot of direct characterization of Henry Dobbins. We like this guy. This guy is a good guy. He's being compared to America itself. Simple, direct, hard labor, strong, full of good intentions. We've got a roll full of fat jiggling at his belly. Slow of foot, but always plodding along, there when you need him, believer in virtues. So this is a good guy. We like Henry Dobbins. Henry has a girlfriend back home, and his girlfriend gave him some of her pantyhose, stockings, whenever he left the war. And these have come to possess sort of a magical quality for him. He calls it his talisman, his magical stockings. Really, he just likes them because sort of like a security blanket for a baby. Again, like this seems to come up often in books. I find this a lot. But this is something that he wants to hang on to. He wants to have it near him, right? So whenever he goes into war or whenever he goes into an ambush or something like that, he wraps them around his neck and leaves the legs hanging down like this so that if he can pull it up to his nose and he can breathe in the scent of his girlfriend, although I'm not sure the scent would still be there after all this time and being at war and pretty dirty. But anyways, he swears it keeps him safe. He's gone into battle. He stepped on a bouncing Betty. It didn't blow up. He walked through a firestorm. Nothing happened to him. So this is his thing. And unfortunately, his girlfriend breaks up with him, right? So you would think that he would like throw them away, but no. Henry is too simple, too good for that, and he says they still have their magical quality. I'm hanging on to these, right? So these pantyhose are a symbol to him. They're a symbol of his future. They're a symbol of safety. They're a symbol of comfort, right? He says they kept him safe, gave him access to a spiritual world where things were soft and intimate, a place where he might someday take his girlfriend. He believed they were like body armor, so they were something that could keep him safe. The other thing I want to point out about this would be a good place for you to label that topic peace versus war. Because although he's going off into battle in these big ambushes, he's taking these pantyhose with him, which sort of symbolize that peaceful world that he left behind, the girlfriend, the soft things, right? So sort of juxtaposing these two things against one another without mentioning the second. But this would be a good example of peace versus war. So what's the purpose of this chapter? Well, some topic words that come to mind are like luck, peace, comfort, right? So we could say to illustrate the power that objects have to inspire luck, peace, and comfort to a person who is in a desperate or a difficult situation. Next chapter that we come to is church. So church is told in the first person point of view. So our author is talking to us again. He's talking to us about a time when they were in the Batangan Peninsula, and they come across this old pagoda, and there's these old monks living there, right? They just started digging their foxholes right here by this pagoda where these monks live. So it was like this old monastery sort of a kind of place. And the monks are there. And a few things happen while they're here. Nothing bad happens while they're here, right? But we get a few different people's feelings. So one thing that happens is we have the monks really take an interest in Henry Dobbins, our guy from before. They must sense that he's a super nice guy. They love this guy, right? They're actually calling him, I wrote it down, they are calling him Soldier Jesus. Soldier Jesus. And they're helping him clean machine guns. Interesting, right? Clean machine guns. So here we have these peaceful monks who spend their day worshiping God and being one with the universe and one with God and all those kinds of things. And they're helping him clean machine guns. They're disassembling them, they're oiling them, they're cleaning them, they're putting them back together. This is two completely different opposite images placed side by side. This is an example of juxtaposition. So hopefully you labeled that in your book because that would have been part of what you were doing. So we have that. So that's one thing that's happening while they're here. Kiowa is kind of uncomfortable that they're here. But Kiowa is a very spiritual person. He carries a Bible around with him everywhere. He went to church when he was younger. He doesn't curse. He not super religious, but he's very spiritual. And he enjoys like being in a church. He describes sitting in a church and just having that feeling, that peaceful feeling overcoming him, and that's something that he really enjoys. And Kiowa doesn't think that they should be setting up base here. He thinks that you don't do this at a church. So he's uncomfortable with the situation that's happening right now, kind of bothering him just a little bit. Now, how do the monks feel about it? Well, the monks seem happy that they're there. The monks are continuously doing something, though, right? It's on all the pages. It says, they spoke almost no English at all. When we dug our foxholes in the yard, the monks didn't seem upset or displeased, though the younger one performed a washing motion with his hands. No one could decide what it meant. And then as we go through the chapter, we have them doing it again. So we have Lieutenant Jimmy Cross. He's a person sort of in charge, right? And they get the special chair for him, and they're like proud that he can sit on this chair. They bring things to him while he's sitting in this chair. They give them these watermelons, and they all eat them. And as they're eating the watermelons, when they're finishing the watermelons, the monks do this hand washing thing again. Happened there. Then, as we continue through, the hand washing happens one more time. Let's see. At the very end, Henry Dobbins washes his hands. He does the washing motion. When does he do it? I think it's important to note when people are doing this. So the first time it's done is when the monks watch them digging their foxholes in the church area, right? The monks do the washing motion. The monks give them stuff, give them food and nourishment and safety and a place to be, and they wash their hands. Henry Dobbins has just basically said thank you to some of the monks. He gives them a can of peaches and a chocolate bar, which is the sweetest thing that he has, and tells them thanks, like go away now, so he can put the machine guns back together, and he does the washing motion. What could it mean? What could this hand washing mean? Well, it's church. It takes me back to the whole idea of the washing of the feet, right? That's a church thing, a biblical thing. So if you're familiar with that, Jesus washes everybody's feet at the Last Supper, and it's a sign of love and humility. So this hand washing could also have some sort of semblance to love and humility. But it's also done, I think, to sort of cleanse the people, to symbolize people needing a cleansing. So what do they need cleansed of? These are young, innocent boys stuck in this terrible, terrible war where they really probably didn't belong and or weren't properly trained for. And so maybe maybe the hand washing symbolizes washing themselves free of this war, making them innocent again, cleansing them from the war that they're stuck in. This need for innocence, this need for love and humility. And I think that's probably it, because that's all they're talking about in this chapter. You know, Dobbins and Kiowa are having these great conversations about maybe after this is all over with, I'm just going to go ahead and become a monk because this feels good. Like I like helping people. I like doing nice things. And they're reminiscing on their childhood days, and childhood days are innocent days. And I think that they're longing for that innocence of their past. So the purpose of this chapter was to share the innocence of the Shoulders and juxtapose their innocence that they wish to have to the war that they're involved in through their thoughts on mankind. Because they have a lot of discussion in this chapter about how they feel, right? We do have a lot of, I put a few more notes in my book. Social pressure, I picked that up whenever we talked about Kiowa's feelings. right? Where I noted Kiowa's feelings, I also put social pressure because he's just setting up here is wrong. This is not what we're supposed to do. I also have the peace versus war. We're talking about setting everything up. The monks setting up that chair for Jimmy Cross and almost treating him sort of like a king and giving them the watermelon, just being so peaceful in the middle of this war, right? They're complete strangers. Here's one other thing that we want to note. This is something that a lot of people analyze and they like to talk about, right? So Jimmy Cross, he's our leader, right? Leader of this battalion or platoon. And Jimmy Cross's initials are JC, sort of like Jesus Christ, right? So he is sort of in charge of everybody, which is also interesting. Another biblical reference, when they put him in that chair like he's in charge of everybody. So that's just something to kind of ponder, to think about. Another thing to mention, another biblical reference of the washing of the hands is Pontius Pilate. So Pontius Pilate is the person in the Bible who orders Jesus Christ's death, right? And so we have this, he washes his hands of the death of Jesus Christ because he takes no responsibility for it. So some other things to kind of think about, to ponder, to put in your head. There was an allusion in this chapter. I hope you spotted it because you love to look for literary devices as you read. And that was where Henry Dobbins on page 115, he says he closed his eyes briefly and laughed. One thing for sure, I look spiffy in those robes they wear, just like Friar Tuck. Maybe I'll do it. Find a monastery somewhere, wear a robe, and be nice to people. This is what he wants to do now. Friar Tuck is the allusion. It's an allusion to someone in Robin Hood. So, just wanted to point that out to you. The last chapter is The Man I Killed. So this chapter takes a little bit of a turn from what we've been reading, right? It starts off with this horrible description, lots of imagery about a dead guy on the path. And this is somebody that our author killed, that Tim O'Brien killed. He killed this guy. And it's gruesome and it's sad. And description of this person replays throughout the chapter, because what is Tim doing in this chapter? He never says a word. What is he doing in this chapter? He's staring. He's just staring at this boy that he killed. He calls it a man that he killed, the boy that he killed. He's just staring at him the whole time. Kiowa plays a part in this as well. Kiowa is here and he's saying, come on, man, you can't just sit here. Come on. If it hadn't been him, it would have been you. This is war. This is what happened. Get up. Let's go. You can't keep dwelling on this, right? He's trying to get him to talk. He's trying to get him to kind of snap out of it and just get back to normal. But Tim's just struggling big time because he's just killing this person. And he's looking at him. So as Tim is looking at this guy, what's he doing? He's imagining this guy's life. So really what we're doing in this chapter is super juxtaposing life and war. We're taking this poor guy who's dead and we are taking his beautiful life that he could have had and we're imposing it into this war where he is. So we're going to focus on the beauty of war instead of the gruesomeness of war in this chapter. So he sees the image of the body that he's killed and it's disgusting and his jaw is falling and the eye is blown out and you can see his spine through the front of his body. And then there's these little things that pop up. There's this little butterfly that pops up over and over again, right? There's a butterfly on his chin. We're juxtaposing, again, this gruesome image with this beautiful, peaceful image. That little butterfly, beauty in nature. We've got this blood-splayed dead body and this beautiful piece of nature. We've got little blue flowers, little blue flower bells all around the man's head as he's laying there. So we do have that happening in this chapter. He's imagining what this guy's life could have been. So in this area of Vietnam, it's a privilege to fight for your land. It's a privilege to fight for your area, whether you want to or not. It's expected of you. So not only is it a privilege, but it is expected, and your family would be shamed if you did not do that. And so it kind of goes through that. too. He's imagining this poor guy growing up and being, I mean, he's looking at him. He's got feminine features. So he's not like a tough guy. He's got thin eyebrows, a high nose. His fingernails are clean, guys. How many days has he been at war if his fingernails are still clean, right? It mentions in here that maybe this was his first day and he just went out and got killed. He prays every night with his mom that the war will end so that he doesn't have to do this. This guy could have gone on and been a scholar. He loved math. He could have gone to university. The village would have paid for him to go and do this. He would have met a girl, exchanged these rings together. I mean, Tim is coming up with the whole life this guy could have had. He took it away. And Tim is recognizing that he killed somebody. He killed this person that could very well have been him. He killed this person who has an innocent look about him, who didn't want to be in the war, just like Tim didn't want to be in the war. Remember, Tim is not here because he's this gung-ho, oh, I want to fight in the Vietnam War. He's here because he shamed himself out of running away, like not running away, right? He wanted to run to Canada, but he didn't because of all the social pressure from his family, from his town. He sees that in this guy. He sees that in this person. So when he imagines he killed this guy, it's almost as if he has killed himself also, because he sees that this could happen to him. This is a very emotional, very heavy chapter as you go through it. So I have two things on here for as far as purpose of the chapter. I have to illustrate how the emotional burdens and social pressures are the same for all soldiers, U.S. or Vietnamese. So think about that, right? He's imagining the life for this Vietnamese guy, and he's saying he didn't want to go to war. It's like I didn't want to go to war. He's young and innocent. I was young and innocent. He's not a fighter. I was not a fighter. He wanted to go to college. I wanted to go to college. These are the things that both of them wanted, and he's realizing and pointing out to us that people are the same. People are the same, whether they're Vietnamese, communist, American, whatever they are. People are people, and they have these dreams and these aspirations, and war takes those things away. Now, is this something that Tim's going to get over real easily? No. Whole chapter he sat there. Kia was trying to get him to talk, and he just won't. He just doesn't. He just imagined this and keeps on going. I also say that this demonstrates the baggage that comes with killing a man who could just as well have been you, both emotionally and physically. So as he's looking at this, we can sense his emotional baggage that he's going to carry. This is something he's adding to his pack, guys. He's going to carry this for the rest of his life. It's not going to go away. So what do you think that him examining this body says about him? What does it say about him and who he is? Does he enjoy the war? Is he growing into this fierce warrior like everybody wanted him to be? I don't think so. I think the fact that he's examining this body shows us that he's really considering what he's doing. I think that it tells us that he is a very emotional person. I think that it also shows us his ambitions and his dreams, and lets us see another side of the war that I think a lot of people didn't get to see. So hopefully this helped, and we got through those 3 chapters together, and I will see you for the next book talk.